All right, what's up, y'all? What's up, Facebook? What's up, Instagram? Running a couple minutes behind, but I am here. Welcome, everybody. I am onjeinikab, also known as the unmothered coach, and I help women who had difficult relationships with their mothers and lost their mothers overcome emotional trauma, find their voice, and reclaim their power so they can have the lives they deserve. All right. So if you're new to my page, welcome. I'm also the author of this book, and it's called Unmothered, A Daughter's Guide to Acceptance, Healing, and Renewal. So here's the book. All right. So I have a good topic for us tonight, and so I'm going to make sure I use my time wisely. There are a lot of points to this topic, and hopefully I can get through them and give you some good information. So tonight I want to talk about careers and how healing the mother wound can help you with your career. And I've talked about it before, and there are different aspects that you can cover. And so but tonight I want to go a little bit deeper than I do normally. All right, so let me click on my notes over here. All right, so healing the mother wound is important, not only because it can help you when you want to heal and transform your life, and so that you are feeling better and the relationships around you are thriving. It's not only for that reason, but it can also move your career forward too. And the reason it can move your career forward is because the same costs that sometimes occur when you're unmothered, when you don't have what you need growing up, when you don't get the support and the love, those same costs that occur in your life can also show up in your career. And so, it can look similar to this. So it can be stuff like you are working, but you're not being fulfilled by the work that you're doing. And you're staying in the work for some reason. And we'll get into that because that has to do with your mindset. And we are going to talk about what makes you feel like you have to stay. Another thing it can be is you're missing promotions and opportunities at work. So that happens a lot. And I'll just go ahead and say, I have personally experienced many of these costs because, like I said, they're the same things that show up outside of work, but they can just be in a different form at work, and it can hold you back. So it's essentially you holding yourself back based on how you're thinking about things and based on how you were raised. So let's keep going further. It can also look like being underpaid. That's a big one. That's why I'm talking about getting to the bag, because that's how I introduced it today. If you want to get to the bag, then you have to address the underlying issue, which is healing the mother wound. And so, you can be in a mindset and just be going along with, whatever's happening and being underpaid. Another issue is that it can cause you to remain or basically accept a toxic workspace and a toxic manager, most of all. That is probably not a shock because sometimes when you grow up, that kind of thing is all you know. And so, it'll have you accepting that and making yourself think that this is normal, this is okay. Another way being unmothered can affect you in the workplace is that you can be fake at work. And the reason that you're fake at work is pretty much because you're fake everywhere. And what I mean by that is I don't mean like you're pretending to be something and then you switch it off. No, what I mean is you are not who you should be. And so we're going to go, like I said, into each one of these a little bit more when I flip it for you. The other thing that can happen is you can have an inability to focus at work because of the drama that's going on in your life. Now, if your mother has passed away, you're probably not still experiencing any drama from her unless it's nightmares or something that's happening or triggers that bring back bad memories. But you could be dealing with drama from family members. You could be dealing with drama because of how you are, like how you're behaving, and that can cause sparring between you and your partner. You can be having difficulty with your friends, and even parenting can be difficult because you don't really know the right way to do it. And when I say the right way, I mean the right way for you. You're most likely using what you were taught. And so that can cause strife in your life that can carry over at work, and then you can't focus. You can't keep your head in the game because you're thinking about all the other stuff that's going on. And so I call that relational drama. And it can be huge and just really keep you from, meeting your marks and meeting your goals at work. And then one of the last costs that I'm going to talk about tonight, and by no means is this all. There are more things to talk about. But one of the costs that come with being unmothered and how it shows up at work is that you don't know how to be a team player. And we don't talk about that a lot. We do talk about being in toxic spaces and having, bosses that aren't good for us, and the workplace is just, overall the vibe is all off, all wrong. But sometimes it can be us. So it can be you being the toxic one, or you being the one that's not supportive of your teammates, or you're jealous, or you're extremely competitive, with them, and just not willing to work together because of being unmothered. And it's unfortunate when that happens because a lot of times you're not even aware of it. And so that's why I want to talk about it today, because I don't want any of these things holding you back and keeping you from your bag. And so let's go ahead and break it down. All right. And like I said, I've been through many of these, if not all of these things. I've experienced them. But what I want to do is make sure we can identify how being unmothered can affect us, even at work, even in places that you don't expect it. Because if you don't identify it, then it becomes a problem. It becomes an issue. And then that can slow down or stop your forward motion in your career. And I don't want that to happen, because I've been there. I've been there where I've been confused. I've been there where I've been stuck, where I've been unfulfilled and unhappy and couldn't really understand why when everything should be okay. All right. So we have to address what the real problem is. And so this whole talk is, like I said, I've done it a couple times before where I've not gone as deep as I'm going to go tonight, where I think I have like 7 points I want to break down. But I posted about it on LinkedIn a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday. I'm not quite sure, but I posted about it on LinkedIn, and I want to bring it to you guys because I want to make sure that we are getting our coins and that we are being paid well, and our careers are moving in the ways that we want them to move. All right, so let's break down what the issues are and how we can flip it around so that you can get the bag at work, so that you can move your career in a forward motion that continues to elevate you, because that's what I want to see. All right, so the first thing is, if you're going to fix what's going on at work, being unmothered has to be addressed. And really, it's just, the usual suspects that keep coming up over and over again. So in order to stop being unfulfilled, you're going to have to lose the guilt. All right, so where does the guilt come from? The guilt comes from the fact that in interacting with your mother, a lot of the time, you took on, the responsibility of trying to fix the relationship. You took on the responsibility of trying to please her. And so a lot of the time, you just take that guilt in because you feel like, well, if I just did this right, or if I could change this thing. And that starts when we're little. And so you may not even be aware of it. And I'm not going to say that every single one of these points applies to everybody, but you might recognize some of them. And so guilt is a big one. You don't, know how to get rid of it because you have that feeling of remorse about, her not being happy. And you think that if you change something, then she'll be happy and she'll love you more, or she'll treat you better. And so the guilt remains, and it can even happen when you feel like, well, I'm going to leave somebody behind. So when it comes to careers, we are meant to elevate. We should be doing purposeful, meaningful work. And nobody should be stuck being unfulfilled because they're worried about what their family thinks. Like if they're going to label them as being uppity or, who she thinks she is, that kind of stuff. We shouldn't have to worry about that, but we do because we're conditioned and we are trained when we grow up to think like that. And a lot of the times we can't, let me be honest, we can't even get to the bag because we have a problem with money. We have a problem with how we see money. And no, it is not all of it coming from the Bible. Where the Bible has that verse that says money is the root of all evil. And people use that to say money is evil. It starts long before we even talk about the Bible. Our relationship with money starts in the home with what we see around us. And so if you have a lack mindset, a mindset of not ever having enough, of not, of always being broke, and of not feeling like you can acquire money, then that carries over into your career a lot of the time. And I had to learn that. I have had wonderful coaches that have helped to instill that in me and to help me figure out how I'm thinking about money. And so I want to just share the same thing with you. So a lot of times we just come to the table thinking about it wrong, when we need to be thinking, I am here to do something that, I am skilled at, something that I can do well, something that is going to help somebody in some way, and something that can make me happy. That's how we should come to the table. Now, you're not going to always have the perfect job to do all those things, but that's how you show up. And with that, knowing that you're skilled and knowing that what you're doing is valuable, you should be paid well. All right, so that's where I'm coming from. That's where I'm coming from. You should be paid well for what you're doing. All right, so you have to lose the guilt. Lose the guilt of whatever you think your family or your mother would be saying to you. Lose that. And even if you went to college or even if you developed the skills and you feel like you should be true to that because, somebody helped you through, whatever the case, you do not have to stay in a position that you aren't really feeling, that you're not passionate about. So lose all of the guilt and choose some meaningful work. All right, let's move on. So the next point is when you stay stuck. You stay stuck because you are afraid of rejection. And so when you're afraid of rejection, you can miss your promotions. You can miss opportunities that will come to you because you won't take any risk. You want to stay in a safe space. And staying in a safe space will not allow you to move where you need to sometimes. Because sometimes the challenge, when you're challenged with a problem, when you're challenged with a task, sometimes it's that thing that moves you forward because that's how you develop your skills. That's how you develop your grit. You got to be challenged by something. You can't just have everything be easy to you all the time because sometimes it will keep you from trying hard. It'll keep you from taking risks. It'll keep you from leaping. And you have to leap when you want a promotion or opportunities to show up. You got to put some skin in the game. You can't always play it safe. Okay? And that mentality, that fear of rejection does come from being unmothered much of the time because our own mothers rejected us. Your own mama doesn't love you like you need to be loved, doesn't pour into you like what you need. No, she tears you down. She's talking negatively all the time. She's, criticizing you. And so that causes a fear of rejection that starts with her and goes on through life in many different areas. And like I said, the costs are in your life. I'm just showing you what it might look like at work because it's the same stuff. Okay, so that's where that comes from. And so you have to get rid of the fear of rejection and understand that fear doesn't come from in here because God didn't give you the spirit of fear. My pastor just spoke on this last night, which is it's 2 Timothy, the first verse, and I think it's the first chapter and the 7th verse. And so God didn't give you the spirit of fear. So that doesn't come from in here. It's just in your head, and you're just thinking that you need to be afraid, but you don't. If you fall, get back up. We all fall. That's how you learn sometimes. All right. So the next step, if you want to heal the mother wound and get to the bag, is you have to know your worth. And this is a big point. It's a big point. And I remember being there, and it wasn't too long ago either. I did not know my worth, and I was being underpaid. Now, I thought that this was all in my plan because I wanted to transition what I was doing into another type of job. But no, I was just simply being taken advantage of and not being paid well because I didn't know what I was worth. I didn't know what the skills were worth. I didn't feel like, I could ask for that kind of money. And it took like an epiphany, and Lord just basically slapped me upside the head and showing me through another lesson that just because the people at work don't see your worth doesn't mean you're not worth it. Doesn't mean you're not worth more. And so that lesson woke me up and I changed things all around. And so you have to know your worth so that you can be paid well. And it's the same thing with, in your life. When you're unmothered, you don't know your worth a lot of times because just how fighting with your mother can just drain you and make you feel like you aren't worth anything if your own mother doesn't recognize the jewel that you are, doesn't feel that you are precious and that you are special. And so that can carry over in your life, and you can end up with low self-confidence, low self-esteem, and just a low sense of self-worth. And so we have to work to build that back up because it is powerful for us in the world, in other spaces, and it's certainly powerful in your career. So we have to work on that, all right, so that you can get the bag and be paid like you should be getting paid, all right, because it's no shortage of money. There's money out there. It just depends on how you come to the table. So I'm trying to empower you so that you know how to step up and how to speak up. All right, now the next thing we need to work on is recognizing toxic spaces and places and people. You need to do it. You need to recognize those people. A lot of the time, we are conditioned. We are used to our mother's voice. We're used to being treated a certain kind of way. And so that sometimes allows us to go to the workplace and we want the job, need the job. And so we allow too much and we stay too long in a place that's not good for us, and it can wear on our mental health. And so that is the very reason that you will have to take a stand. And this did happen to me, and I ended up having to file a complaint at work. It was something that I didn't want to do, and it wasn't the first time I had to do it. I didn't want to do it, but the more God talked to me, He told me, listen, I did not bring you here for you to be anybody's doormat. I don't care what you went through before. I don't care what you're used to. I did not bring you here to be anybody's doormat. Stand up for yourself and speak up for yourself. And so no matter what you need to do to get yourself out of the situation, then you need to do it. And no, I didn't quit the job. I didn't quit it because I had a lot at stake. However, I had to take care of my mental health. And so I did have to go back into therapy because it was so toxic. It was such a bad place that I wanted to protect myself. And so I went into therapy to make sure that I had someone that could listen to me, talk to me. And then I worked on getting myself out of the situation. And I did get out of the situation. All right. So it's important because if you stay there, you may think, well, it's a job and I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I have my obligations to my family, but you also have an obligation to yourself and to your mental health. And you are no good to them if you are not healthy. All right. Okay. Let's keep it moving. Now, I talked about being fake at work and how that can hold you back. Being fake at work can hold you back because you are not working with all your power, because you're spending a good amount of your energy trying to make sure you say the right things or act the right way or dress the right way or look a certain way or whatever it is. Okay? And so I've been there. There was a time, y'all see this puff right here? There was a time when I would, make sure my hair was laid before I went into my interviews. And it wouldn't be like I went through drastic steps. I just make sure like I had a nice sleek bun or something, pulled back to the back, and it was all straight and all the kinks were out. And this was long ago when I was young. And hair discrimination is real. However, we have to get comfortable with ourselves, and we have to bring our authentic selves into even the workspace. And a lot of times we can't do that because we suppressed a lot of things about ourselves to try to appease and please our mothers. We try to change. we tried to be not so loud, or in my case, not so vain, not looking in the mirror all the time, or I couldn't be so quiet because then I was up to something. So we suppressed and changed a lot of things about ourselves, and we have been doing it for so long that it's just, it's just happening without us even thinking about it. And so it takes a